Hello, this is Dragon Blitz, and this is my Portrait of Ruin speedrun. This is being played on the Dominus Collection, so it's being played on PC. There's a lot to say about Portrait of Ruin any percent. Obviously, this is a very large Metroidvania-style game, but we're going to be beating it incredibly quickly by using all of the mechanics and glitches available in this game. First thing you're going to notice here is we're doing a glitch called a partner jump. So anytime you switch between yourself and your partner, and then you use the touchscreen to call them in a specific direction, they can jump in that direction, and then you switch back to them mid-air, and then you have a 4-frame window to jump mid-air. This breaks a lot of the sequences that are possible in this game. One of the basic movement options that are also possible due to this partner switching mechanic is partner backdashing. So every time you switch between yourself and the partner, you basically remove all lag in the current state that you're in. You become completely neutral. Here, this is a suspend out of bounds. This is one of the most broken glitches in the entire game. Essentially, if you stand between two load zones in a very specific spot and then suspend the game, quit to the main menu, reload that game, you then have access to when you reload the game pushes you out of bounds. And when you're out of bounds, you're constantly being zipped upwards because the game is trying to push you back in bounds, but you've already passed the threshold of being out of bounds. So while you're zipping upwards, you can then suspend the game again. We're going to be doing it right here. So take a look at the map on the top right-hand corner of the screen. You're going to see the little dot that is considered us is going to be flying up for a second, and then I'm going to suspend the game again, and then it's going to load me in the room where we just suspended. So it allows us to warp around the castle very, very quickly. Our goal for this run is to get to the end of the game and kill Dracula, but we technically could go do that right now. The issue is we're level 1 and we have no powerful gear. Our best movement option right now is the slide that we just got from talking to the shopkeeper and the quest giver in that starting area before we zipped. So we can like slide and then switch back and forth between partners. But during actual like boss fights and stuff like that, we're actually quite weak. So we're going to be picking up a few things as well as maneuvering through the castle as best we can by both zipping around, grabbing this warp so we can come back here later because this enemy right down here is very important for another glitch coming up. But for now, this is more about precise slide cancels, maintaining my HP, so if I get too low, I can use one of my 2 potions. There's also a glitch that essentially gives you infinite potions, so if you're ever in a spot where you're getting a little too low, if you tap on the screen in a specific way, since this is originally a DS game, the touchscreen mechanics kind of break certain menus, including the item menu, so you're able to basically give yourself infinite potions in a specific way. More movement through this section here. The way that you normally beat Portrait of Ruin is by going into portraits. These are little sub-areas that are contained within Dracula's castle. They're a little more on the linear side. You go through them, and then you fight a boss at the end, and then usually it unlocks some sort of extra movement mechanic before you go on to the next portrait. We're only going to be going into a singular portrait here. This is because it's right next to the double jump relic that we're going to be getting here in a second, and it also gives us the items and levels that we need for killing Dracula later on, as well as unlocking a quest that will give us access to the best item in the entire game. So it's pretty much like you have to kill this boss to unlock that quest, because that quest completely breaks open the quest system, the shop, everything about this game becomes so much easier with that glitch, but we'll be talking about that in a little bit. So there we got the double jump relic. So now we're going to be able to double jump, and while we're playing as Jonathan, we'll actually have a dive kick as well. Charlotte does not have access to that dive kick. So in certain areas, I'm going to be utilizing that dive kick just to give myself a burst of speed out of the air. One thing that's also really important is just damage boosting off of enemies is usually your best way of dealing with them, because we're still level 1. Trying to kill enemies in this state doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So we're going to be trying to avoid them as much as we can, either by damage boosting or by just straight up avoiding them with our jumps and dive kicks and such. This section can be very tricky. The dive kick hitbox, you kind of have to use it in certain scenarios to get past some of these enemies or dive kick off of their heads, but it's a very inconsistent hitbox. Here I'm using that glitch to give myself infinite potions. So now at any point I can basically heal myself. That glitch does go away depending on how your inventory is sorted. Here I'm going to try and damage boost through this guy using a little bit of invincibility frames. He pushes me to the other side. We took a lot of damage, so I'm going to refill my health yet again. In the top left-hand corner, we just passed it. That's the Kaiser Knuckle item. You're not supposed to be able to grab it until you come back later with flight. But here we're going to be doing a partner jump, but this time with our double jump, it basically gives us 4 jumps if performed properly. Now we get the Kaiser Knuckle way earlier than intended, and this weapon is very, very powerful. It, at our current state, will give Jonathan the ability to hit for 40 damage twice per attack, so pretty strong overall. Now we're going to basically to the center of this pyramid here, and then we're going to use that suspend warp to, again, go out of bounds and then fly upwards across the screen. There, I equip the Kaiser Knuckle, suspend. We're going to reload. We're going to start zipping upwards on the map screen, and I have to pause in the very specific spot. If you're a little late on these pauses, you can actually crash the game because you're trying to load in areas outside of like the correct memory bounds that this game considers, so... But yeah, this fight can be a little tricky because you will die in about 1 or 2 hits, depending. There, that's like her weakest attack, so I was able to tank that and kill her there. If she uses her wind attack or her like green miasma attack, those two basically one-shot you. So it can be a kind of a stressful fight, but overall, if you are paying attention, you probably shouldn't get hit by anything too scary. Thankfully, there's a convenient warp right next to the boss here, so we're going to warp back to the entrance and then back to Dracula Castle main. And now we basically are going to be going towards the end of the game. There's not much else to collect. Like I said, killing that boss unlocks the quest. The quest that we're going to be doing is going back to Wind, this ghostly figure that gives out quests. If we go to him while we are cursed, he will give us access to... he'll give us the item called a Blessed Ring, but we can actually manipulate the quest menu such that he gives us the Blessed Ring, and then we cancel out of the menu before it considers the quest actually completed. And then we can just do that over and over and over again to acquire a bunch of blessed rings. We're doing this so that way we can sell them over and over again to the shopkeeper. And the more items that you sell and buy to the shop, you're essentially slowly upgrading the shop and what items it holds. And if you do this enough to get the shop to max level, you can buy the Holy Claymore, which is the basically strongest item in the game. It's one of the strongest items in the game. And for this run, we're going to be killing Dracula at level 9, so we want as strong of a weapon as we possibly can. So here I just sell everything because I don't need anything anymore except for the Holy Claymore. And I'm going to be doing this quest reward manipulation glitch over and over and over again. So I'm only able to hold 9 blessed rings at a time. So every time I'm talking to Wind, I'm collecting the blessed ring, canceling the menu, going back over to the shopkeeper, selling all of my blessed rings. I'm going to be doing this for a while until we get to a certain point where we're able to buy a couple of extra items that will also help level up the shop. This is the minimum number of sells and buys possible to unlock the Holy Claymore, because that's basically all we need. We will have some leftover cash, so it's pretty much always ideal to buy a bunch of potions, because at this point our inventory is no longer set up for that infinite potion glitch. So we're going to be given 9 potions total for the final fight as well. You don't die in one hit from most of the attacks. There are some attacks the final boss can do that will kill you in one hit. Sometimes you're able to tank a hit in specific situations and then heal back up to full. So that's pretty much like your only saving grace in a run like this. So here we're selling everything, and now we can buy the Holy Claymore, but it does cost 300,000 gold. We're a little bit short, so we do 3 more Blessed Ring collections, sell the last of those, buy all of our potions because we have extra money, buy the Holy Claymore, and now there's nothing stopping us from just going to the end of the game and fighting Dracula. I do love the partner mechanics in this game because we're going to be taking advantage of those partner mechanics as well in a particular way. Even with the Holy Claymore, we're not like super overpowered or anything like that. But earlier on in the castle, we did a partner jump to collect a spell for Charlotte called Attack Boost. So this attack boost is going to essentially double our physical attack. And with that, we're going to actually be able to do a decent amount of damage to these final bosses here. And here we are. We did one last suspend warp to get to the throne room. Normally you need to beat 8 separate portraits and fight a ton of bosses. This saves a ton of time. But here we utilized the strength boost, summoned Jonathan, and then swapped characters. This is because the stat boost properties normally don't transfer between Jonathan and Charlotte unless you have both of them out at the same time, and then you switch characters. It's a small optimization to essentially give Jonathan extra damage here. So this is the Death plus Dracula fight. You have to balance 2 different bosses at the same time. Neither of them necessarily have anything too crazy going on. It's more so just the chaotic mess of like the RNG of where Dracula decides to spawn, as well as trying to lure Death across the screen as much as possible, because he will despawn once he crosses paths with you, unless he is being pulled to the center of the room for like this team up attack that he'll do every once in a while. Here I'm going to re-up that attack boost because it was just about to run out. Here, I'm just carefully dodging attacks, because if you take too much damage, like, not only is it dangerous because you could die, but it also loses you time. Like, you're stuck in this, like, really slow animation right here. Like, there, I accidentally did a slide instead of a jump, and that cost me some time. Not a perfect fight, but it should be coming to a close soon. And the reason we're hitting Death this entire time is also because both Death and Dracula have separate HP pools. Death's HP pool is significantly lower than Dracula's. Dracula's is 6,666, and Death's is 4,444. And we do more damage to Death. So if we mainly focus in on Death, we can get past Phase 1 a lot faster. Now, this is Phase 2. Phase 2 can be incredibly scary and flat out sometimes near impossible, depending on the attacks he does, unless you're able to get him in this AI manipulation. So essentially, the first attack we manip by transforming into Charlotte, boosting our attack, doing a slight backdash to get him stuck in this beginning attack where he slams the ground. And now what we're going to be doing is we need to walk to the other side of him after he does the slam, then go underneath him again. This basically baits the AI into going for this like Hellfire Rain attack. And then we go to the other side of him after he's done with that attack. That baits him into the slam again, and then you just rinse and repeat. The entire time I'm doing these attack cancels where I'm backdashing after doing the attack and then crouching afterwards. So it's pretty technical to get these attack cancels out. And if I fail a single one of these, he is very likely to break out of the AI manip. And then it can basically be run over depending on the attacks Dracula decides to do next, because then you're basically praying to RNG. And yeah, that was a little bit of a scary situation. We failed one of the backdash cancels, but it was in a position where we were actually allowed to because it kept me in the right position. So, and there it is. Dracula is dead. We finished this run in a little over 12 minutes. My goal is to try and get under 11 minutes for this run, but 12 minutes is very solid. It's a very great run, in my opinion. Top 3 on the leaderboard currently, about less than a minute away from world record. So I'm pretty happy with this, but I want to continue grinding this in the future. This run is really, really fun. I had a lot of fun learning it and optimizing it up to this point. And yeah, it's been a lot of... it's been a good time. Good time playing the DS games, the DS Castlevania games on the Dominus Collection. Finally having access to these games on PC, so I don't have to worry about DS capture cards or controlling a game using a DS as a controller. Instead, I can use, you know, whatever controller I'm comfortable with. So yeah, Dominus Collection is great. The speedrun is great. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you around. Have a good one. Bye-bye.